Hi there, and welcome to a very powerful yet old school episode of Head to Head. Now, I say old school because just like Ford and Chevy and Dodge were doing in the 60s and 70s, the Germans have been locked in an ever-escalating horsepower war for more than a decade. I also say old school because both of these cars feature naturally aspirated V8s. If you don't know, sadly, naturally aspirated German V8s are going the way of the drum brake, the bias ply tire, and the manual transmission. They're just not long for this world. Thankfully, these two cars exist and they're right here. On my left, from the fine folks at Mercedes-Benz and the horsepower meisters from AMG, we have the C63 507 Coupe. And on my right, from Audi and those maniacs at Quattro GmbH, the RS5. Which one of these two hardcore German coupes is best? That's what we're gonna find out. Before we get started, I want you to know one thing. Both of these cars are quicker in a straight line than a Shelby Cobra. In fact, both cars are quicker than a Porsche 959. Using a combination of a fast-shifting dual-clutch transmission and all-wheel drive, the Audi RS5 is able to hit 60 miles an hour in 3.9 seconds. It then beats up the quarter mile in 12.3 seconds at 112.2 miles per hour. The AMG 507 doesn't have any fancy technology, it just has one hell of an engine. So it can do 60 miles an hour in 3.8 seconds, just clipping the Audi. It also just catches the Audi in the quarter mile, doing it in 12.2 seconds with a much higher trap speed of 117.4 miles an hour. The Mercedes also outbrakes the Audi, 103 feet from 60 miles an hour. It's hard to be good at road holding when you're as tail happy as the 507 is, and as a result, it pulls 0.91 G on our skid pad. The Audi can nearly pull a G, 0.99 Gs on our skid pad, and it simply annihilates the figure eight, running around it in 24.6 seconds. The 507 can run around the Motor Trend figure eight in 25.2 seconds. A very good time, though nowhere near as quick as the Audi. So, dynamically, the AMG is faster in a straight line and brakes a little bit better. However, the RS5 can go around corners better and pull more Gs with those monster wheels and tires. However, which one do you want as your fantasy daily driver? Let's go find out. Because it is raining and I'm not in the mood to die today, I'm not pushing it quite as hard as I might normally in dry conditions. And so a lot of the understeer that we always notice with Audis is absent. Now, of course, we figure eight it and there is plenty of push, but right now it feels pretty good. And I think with both of these cars, you have to start with the looks because they're both kind of like evil, sinister looking, mean coupes. But as much as I like the way that 507 looks and I dig that kind of 80s graphic stripe down the side and I like the nostrils and the hood straight off the Black Series, the best looking car here is the Audi. I mean, this thing just looks awesome. It also, I'm very happy to report, drives well. You know, it is raining, so, you'd think this is where the Audi shines, and it totally does. I mean, the all-wheel drive, the Quattro system, and these massive 21-inch wheels, so much grip. It's not even a problem on this. Like, this is the first time it's rained in LA, and I don't know how long. Oil all over the place, no problem. Just sticking to the road. Lago had an interesting point. He was saying, you know, if you just drove around town, if you actually never headed up to somewhere like here, up in these crazy canyons above LA, you would think the Audi RS5 is the greatest car in the world. And he's totally right, because if you stay away from the quote-unquote limit, if you stay away from where this car will go into terminal understeer, it's absolutely brilliant. What makes this an RS5, we've got those crazy wave pattern brakes, which are right off of a MotoGP bike. As we saw when we had the RS7 on the track, they don't really work as well as advertised. Some people think they look cool. I think they look like flowers. Then you've got the old venerable German Iron Duke, the 4.2 liter V8 lump of an engine, which I've been in love with since I first drove it in the RS4. Now it's pumping out 450 horsepower, pretty stout, huge red line, like 8250 is the red line. It just loves to scream. The final piece of the RS5 puzzle is, of course, the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission that Audi calls their DSG. It is so good. As far as street cars go, pure street machines, this is about as good as the transmission gets. The shifts are instant. The programming is totally intuitive. Around town, it's an automatic. And up here, if I start pulling the paddles, it's just, you have full control. And man, I'm telling you right now, in these conditions, wet, rainy, and oily, in this car, that 507 has its hands full trying to beat it. Let's talk about the 6.2 liter V8 under this hood. I've dated women that have given me less satisfaction than this engine has. It is a work of art, a masterpiece. I can't believe it's going out of production. Sadly, it is. Despite the 6.3 badges, this is a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8, which makes 507 horsepower. I mean, love this motor. Cannot say enough good things about it. Just so quick, so responsive, get on the gas, instant power, so much of it, so much torque, sounds so good. I love this motor. We should talk about the chassis a little bit. I mean, it's so balanced, it's so neutral, it's pretty stiff, it loves to rotate, it just loves to dance down the road. Oh, the brakes, they're actually the exact same brakes off the Black series, the C63 Black, which, you know, a couple years ago, Best Driver's car, we all thought it had the best brakes of any car there. And, you know, there's that old expression, a car is only as good as its brakes. Well, this car's really effing good if that's the case. This steering is so much better than the Audis. Audis totally get you around corners, not a problem, but this car, the steering actually feels good. And when you are going to spend close to $100,000 on a little two-door, you really want steering that's going to feel good. The 507 is one hell of a car. What I don't love is the transmission. It's kind of the same old AMG story, but it's the 7-speed automatic, their MCT, their wet clutch. They need to replace that, and I'm pretty sure they are with the next generation cars, but for right now, that's kind of the missing link. It's kind of the weak spots. It's what's preventing this car from being a real classic, because the 507 is going to go down in history as a very special AMG product, except for the transmission. Well, friends, I have driven both cars, and they're both just, wow, I would love to have either one. Adding it all up, okay, let's see. We got the 507. I like the engine a lot better. I like the steering wheel a lot better, and the steering itself. I don't like the transmission as much. The Audi has more grip because it's got bigger wheels, but it doesn't necessarily ride as well. This one drives better, but the Audi has all-wheel drive, and I can push it harder in the rain. The Audi looks better. Okay, you add all that up, and the winner of this head-to-head is... the C63 AMG 507. I'm sorry. If you can find a better coupe buy it, as Lee Iacocca might have said. This thing is just awesome, awesome, awesome. And the Audi is only awesome, awesome. So this car's definitely the winner. Driven both cars. Driven both cars. Driven both cars. Well, friends. This one just feels so sexy. And, you know what I mean? Like snakes down the road, and the Audi sort of like beats up the road. I love this motor. Love this motor. I love this engine. I love this engine. I just love this engine. So much torque, so much power. I just love this engine. And the steering wheel feels so good. The final piece of the RS5 puzzle